Hello my beautiful wild mothers, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Tori from the blog wildmotherlife.com, and here on my channel I make videos all about motherhood inspired by nature. I also post a lot of natural mama content on my Instagram account, so be sure to follow me at wildmotherlife, and I would love to have you join me over on Instagram. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I help bolster my kids' immune system against coughs this time of year. I know that there are several, at least in my area, there are lots of coughs going around. My daughter actually has a cough now. Over the last couple days, she started developing a wet, mucusy kind of cough, and I wanted to share how I'm going about treating that because I know that coughs and colds are pretty common this kind of year with the changing weather and kids going back to school. Obviously, use your own best judgment. If your child's cough gets to where they're having trouble breathing, then you can always take them to see a medical professional, test their oxygen, all that stuff. But you know your child best, and one of my goals here on my channel is to be able to empower moms to take care of their family's health. And so part of that, feeling empowered, is knowing things that you can do preventatively and as treatment to help the cough not get bad. Hi. Also know that I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a mom and an herbalist, and a mom very passionate about natural health. So take this video with a grain of salt and not as medical advice, purely educational content. All right, so let's dive into this video and talk about what all I'm doing to help treat my daughter's cough right now currently. Some of the things that I give my daughter or my kids when they're struggling with coughs are pineapple or organic pineapple juice. Pineapple contains bromelain, which is a constituent that is anti-inflammatory and can really help relieve coughs. So that's why pineapple is a great thing. Most kids love it. So it's a really great thing to be able to help calm down any inflammation in their lungs and in their body and just be able to get some relief from the cough. So pineapple is one of our first go-tos. Another thing is respiratory herbs. Now there are lots of different respiratory herbs, and not all respiratory herbs do you want to give in every circumstance with every kind of cough. So let me give you an example. And this kind of goes into some of the herbal energetics from studying traditional herbalism and the knowledge that's been passed down. Herbs have been given different energetic properties based on their constituents and how they react in the body. So for an example, marshmallow is an herb that I see talked about to give for coughs or lung health a lot. And marshmallow's energetics are that it's very wet and mucusy, kind of. When you let marshmallow soak in a cold infusion, it's kind of thick, and it makes the water and the tea kind of like thick, and it's really good for coating and cooling down things. It's good for your gut lining because it has that thick, almost mucusy type of texture that it leaves in the water. So it's really good for calming down, like, you know, red and inflamed dry throat, dry cough, your gut lining. It's good for anything that's dry in the body. Now, if your child has a dry cough, then marshmallow root could be a good herb to use. However, if in like my circumstance, my daughter has a very wet sounding cough, a mucusy sounding cough, where she sounds like she has a lot of congestion in her throat and kind of like in her lungs, and when she coughs it sounds like she's bringing up phlegm or mucus, you wouldn't want to give marshmallow because it's already a very energetically wet and damp herb. So you wouldn't want to give that when their body is already in a wet state. You always want to bring the body back to like a state of homeostasis. So you would want to be giving more of a drying herb, or an herb that's going to help break up the congestion and be able to bring it up. So herbs like mullein or horehound, wild cherry bark, those are all herbs that are good for breaking up congestion. So that's just a little quick lesson about herbal energetics and how not every respiratory herb is good for every type of cough, and you really need to evaluate what your specific situation looks like and what the specific cough looks like. So in our situation, Elowen and I made a tea the other day that had mullein, wild cherry, some ginger, warming herb, and to help with the taste, warming. So ginger, some cinnamon, and something else, maybe some oat straw for a little bit of nourishment and minerals. And we made a tea, and I had her sip on that. If you have a toddler, you know that compliance can sometimes be difficult if things don't taste great. Now, obviously, I sweetened her tea with honey, but it was like kind of a spicy type of tea. It had ginger and cinnamon, so she did drink a good amount, but she didn't like drink a whole cup or anything. And I didn't know if I would be able to keep getting her to drink it. So I wanted a different option. She loves taking tinctures or glycerites, so I wanted to try to get an herbal cough syrup and a syrup that would be good for her lungs, or a tincture that would be beneficial for her respiratory system. So I went to Whole Foods and I got this herbal bronchial syrup. Now, I stood in the respiratory section of Whole Foods for like at least 10 minutes reading the back of every single one of these respiratory medicines that they had there. And this was the one I ended up going with because it is filled with great respiratory herbs. It had wild cherry bark, osha, which is another great one for respiratory health, thyme, licorice root, grindelia, slippery elm, peppermint, white pine, herbasante, ginger, and horehound. So it's packed with good herbs, and it has vegetable glycerin, water, and some honey, and then menthol crystals. A lot of the ones, especially the ones targeted for kids, I noticed they had essential oil flavoring in them, like they're flavored with essential oils. And I'm personally just not comfortable ingesting essential oils, especially for a little toddler, but really for anybody. We don't ingest essential oils in our family. So I was not comfortable with really any of those. Plus, I noticed a lot of the ones targeted for kids just didn't have great respiratory herbs in them. They had overall, you know, like they had elderberry and like maybe one specific respiratory herb, which is fine. Elderberry is great when you're sick, great for the immune system, and I'm sure that those blends are fine. But in this situation, I wanted to be very proactive to make sure that I was using some strong respiratory health herbs. And so this was the best option that I found because it just packed with these herbs. And it says that a half a teaspoon contains 1,600 mgs of the fresh and dry herb equivalent, which is, you know, a medicinal dose. So of course I'm not giving her a full half a teaspoon. I'm giving her half of that, so a quarter of a teaspoon, a couple times a day. And I feel really good. I do feel like it's helping. And actually it worked out because I had a friend that I was texting about coughs that night, and she said that her son had a cough the month before and that she used this and she really noticed a difference for him. So I was very happy that I found this, and I definitely recommend this syrup for bronchitis or any type of, you know, lung cough where you feel like their lungs and the respiratory system need more support. Another thing that I'm giving my daughter is homeopathy. Big fan of homeopathy. Of course, this book, Homeopathic Medicine for Children and Infants. If you don't have this book, what are you even doing? Go buy this book. I'll link it below. I reference it with like every illness that my kids get. So I flipped to the cough section. I was reading, there's like 3 pages of different remedies and different situations when you would give them. And so I was trying to research that and figure out like which remedy I would give her. And I tried giving her a couple of them, but it was kind of tricky. It seemed like most of these remedies were targeted more for dry coughs. And I just wasn't exactly sure what to do. So when I got to Whole Foods, I decided to look at their homeopathic remedies, and they actually have this blend called Chestall Kids Cough and Mucus Relief, chest congestion, coughs. So I was like, all right, let's try this blend. Maybe not like what a skilled homeopath would do, but for a mom in a pinch that was already doing other things, I felt like this was a good option. I've been giving it to her. It seems to be helping. Another thing that we do is vitamin C. I know that this is like a little bit controversial if you're super crunchy, but there's some debates between like what forms of vitamin C you should give to your kids and yourself. I've said this before on my channel, and I'll say it again. I really like just giving sodium ascorbate when we need it, when we're sick. It just ends up being a couple times a year. It's not like we're taking it every day, but it is cheap. It's in a great form for your body to be able to absorb. It's what Dr. Suzanne Humphrey recommends in her vitamin C protocol, and you only need a little bit, which is convenient for, you know, kids, toddlers who sometimes have trouble with compliance taking things. You only need a little bit, and it lasts forever. so long. So I give her this because vitamin C is great for the immune system. So when you're sick, encourage the immune system to be able to fight off coughs, colds, viruses, whatever. So I do give a little bit of vitamin C to help assist in fighting off the cough. Okay, so another thing is a cough syrup, but it's the account on Instagram called A Little Less Toxic, and she has a homemade cough syrup recipe. Basically, it just contains fresh pineapple, lemons, honey, raw ginger, olive oil, a pinch of cayenne, and salt. And all of those things together are really great for coughs. And I love that it's easy to make, it tastes really good, and it doesn't have a bunch of like filler or sugar or dyes or any other crap that some conventional cough syrups might have. So I feel really good making that one, and it tastes really good. Good compliance rate with toddlers. So I definitely recommend that homemade cough syrup recipe if you're looking for a homemade cough syrup. Okay, one more thing I did want to say is if you are concerned about your child's oxygen rate and like being able to breathe, if their cough is really bad, one thing you can do is get a pulse ox, which you slide on their finger. That you should be able to get them at drugstores. So you slip it on their finger to be able to track what their oxygen is and make sure that it doesn't get too low to where you're uncomfortable and that they're not having trouble breathing. But hopefully if you're doing all these things and giving, you know, nourishing respiratory system herbs that are great for the respiratory system and help break up the mucus, then hopefully you won't need to even use the pulse ox, and hopefully you won't need to take them in anywhere. But of course, always follow your intuition because you know your child best. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you have an awesome rest of your day. I hope if your little one is sick right now that they feel better. And if they're not sick and you're just watching this ahead of time to help prep for any winter viruses that might happen, then good for you. I hope that you have an awesome rest of your week. I'll be sure to link everything that I can down in the description below so you can check it out. Thanks for watching. Stay wild. Bye.